Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Lunch Break Podcast. I am your host, Reggie. I appreciate you guys for tuning in with us today. You know what it is. It is preseason. This is our Falcons training camp and preseason mini series. Before we go on, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, tell a friend, everything about Dive Team Media, everything about our affiliate shows, the Splashcast. Also, go follow LOA Amaker for political news. We have some things going on and coming up for the upcoming football season and branching out beyond sports. So make sure you tune in and stay locked in with Dive Team Media. Follow us on all social media and everywhere you get your podcasts. With that being said, y'all, preseason game 1, Atlanta Falcons versus the Detroit Lions. Highly anticipated game if you're the Falcons fans. Kind of different for Detroit. Detroit already played a game. They got smoked. They're not playing any starters. We knew they weren't going to play any starters. They're being very, very cautious with everybody, especially after losing Aiden Hutchinson last year when they were the favorite to come out of the NFC. So you kind of knew they weren't going to play everybody. So with that being said, in preseason, you toss the baby out with the bathwater. You don't worry about any of the score, the final score, or anything like that. You're really more worried about situational football and who performs well and who you think is going to be part of the team and trying to make the active roster. So for this episode, we are going to go over kind of a game summary of the Falcons and Lions, what we noticed quarter by quarter. We'll talk about the defensive, offensive schemes, what we noticed in terms of how plays were being called and how aggressive and what we showed. And then we'll have like an overall assessment of the offense. We'll talk about the defense. Similar to the pregame preview, how we talked about position by position, what we're looking for. We're going to kind of grade those positions or at least look at them and see how they performed in this game. And then, of course, we'll talk about the special teams as well and the situation at the end of the game that caused a very unique ending, but showed the class of two organizations. With that being said, man, let's go ahead and get started. So I got my notes over here. So if you see me looking over or looking down, that's where my notes are. So the Falcons and the Lions played. I watched the entire game. I went back and watched the tape of the game. I took notes, and I also do like a little voice recorder, so I kind of voice my thoughts and then I transcribe it and summarize my thoughts throughout the game, so I can kind of notice and remember things that I saw and that caught my eye each time during the game. So we're gonna start out with the first quarter. I told y'all in the beginning I was looking for how we were going to call games, how we were going to call plays. I was looking for the Easton stick versus stick, I believe is how it's pronounced. Easton stick versus the Emory Jones, the QB3 battle. We were looking for the RB3 battle as well between Carlos Washington Jr. and Nathan Carter. We wanted to look at receivers 5 and 6. We know 1 through 4 are pretty much spoken for with Drake, Mooney, Cardero Hodge, and Ray McLeod. So we're really looking for 5 and 6, and maybe even 7 now that Mooney has gotten hurt as well. So offense, we were looking for kind of the outliers, the guys that were fighting to make roster spots. I don't think they played any starters on offense. No Penix or Kirk. I don't know if they played any starters or second team. No Penix, no Kirk, no Bijan, no Tyler, no Drake, no Cardero, no Ray, no Jamal Agnew. I'm just going by the depth chart of what we have so far. No Darnell. We did play I know Casey Washington. Interesting. Tells me that he's all the chatter about him doing well in preseason, stepping up for Mooney is true because they're not even going to play him in the preseason. So no Casey Washington, no Kyle Pitts, no Charlie Warner, no starting offensive line. I think Newsel might have played a little bit. I don't remember seeing him though. No Lindstrom, no McGarry. So offense, it seems like we're pretty content with what we're seeing in training camp, in practice. with how involuntary OTAs, with how our offense is gelling to play. We didn't play anybody. And then on defense, it was a little different. We ended up playing just about everybody except for the starting secondary. So we didn't play any of the starting secondary, I don't believe, but we did play our starting defensive line minus Leonard Floyd. We played all of our linebackers minus Caden Ellis and Divine Diablo. And with everything that we're hearing about Divine Diablo in training camp, we won't be seeing him until game 2 or game 3 of the preseason anyway. But he's doing really, really well. I have now seen on multiple occasions and multiple reports saying Divine Diablo might be the steal of free agency. We'll see. I haven't seen him at all. So we'll see. But there's starting to be a lot of buzz around Divine Diablo. So we'll keep that up there. No AJ Terrell, but we did play Ebiketti. We did not play Jesse Bates or Mike Hughes. Everybody else played. No JD Bertrand and Troy Anderson. Of course, they're hurt. But everybody else that was able to play, played. Interesting tidbit, though. No Clark Phillips. No injury designation either. So maybe they view him as part of the... I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Clark Phillips, really. He didn't play. He may be hurt. I haven't seen it. Y'all let me know in the comments if Clark Phillips has actually been hurt. And we're just not seeing it. But it is a crowded backfield. It is a crowded defensive backfield. It's really a crowded team. Everything that I saw leading up to the game just shows that we're a deep team. We have a lot of players. And as we get into it, on defense, a lot of players made some noise. So let's start out. First quarter, we got the ball first. Off top, notice it was already said that there were no starting quarterbacks on the play. No starting or second string. We just went over that. No first or second string. Easton Stick started. David Sills was the X or wide receiver 1. The Ray McLeod was David Sills. I'm sorry, Dylan Drummond. Dylan Drummond. And then they did play a little bit of Casey Washington, but they also played DJ Chark and Nick Nash. I can't remember who was the other starting receiver. It might have been DJ Chark. So it might have been DJ Chark, David Sills, and Dylan Drummond, which makes sense because that's how the depth chart is for the third string. David Sills is your Y. I'm sorry, your Z. David Sills is your Z. DJ Chark is your X, and Dylan Drummond is your you really wouldn't call him Y, you would just call him like your slot. So Dylan Drummond was your slot. Right off the bat, I think first drive, 3rd and 12. Great pass from Easton Stick to David Sills. David Sills made his mark early in the game. Definitely lives up to the hype. Showed a lot of wiggle, so to speak. He can get open very well. Definitely has really good hands when it comes to catching the ball in traffic. That pass from Easton Stick to David Sills was fantastic for 14 yards. Also, Dylan Drummond played out of his mind in the first quarter, really in the first half. So, if I'm not mistaken, after the first quarter, we were up 3-0. But the 3 was spectacular. Lenny Krieg was the only kicker. We didn't play any Young Wei Koo, didn't play him at all. Lenny Krieg, first kick, 57 yards. 57 yards, dead center, and was good from 65. Like, it didn't just make it over the crossbar. He had additional, he could have kicked it from probably about 5 or 6 more yards. Definitely could have been 63. Probably would have been the kick of the week if it wasn't for Jacksonville. 70 yards, y'all. 70 yards from a kicker is that's almost, if you can make that over and over, that's guaranteed points. I only have to get to the 40-yard line. I digress. So you know, I noticed on offense that all of the players, I knew that we were going to see TQ, Tegan Quintoriano. I was looking for Tyrone Wheatley Jr. But right off the top and off the bat, I noticed that our passing game and the scheme that we had for our passing game was fantastic. Zach Taylor had Easton Stick pushing the ball down the field. David Sills was the possession receiver. Whenever anybody got in trouble, he was the person that they went to. Easton Stick found him 8 times in the first half. I think he had like 5 catches in the first quarter on 5 targets. He was playing out of his mind. So the offense looked good on the first drive. We kind of stalled out, but we kicked that long field goal. I'm not upset at that. Again, it gives us a chance to see what we're doing. First quarter defense. Let me tell y'all. We can go ahead and say this now, and I'll circle back to it. I'm going to say it again. Y'all watch ESPN and all those shows. They say the same thing for 3 hours. It don't matter. I'll circle back. DeMarco Hellums was defensive player of the game, probably player of the game. Easton Stick had something to say. Dylan Drummond had something to say. But in terms of MVP of the game, DeMarco Hellums made himself known immediately. You could tell. You can always tell when somebody is dying to get back to the football field. You remember he got hurt in the last preseason game last year, broke his ankle and was out for the whole year. And he was making noise back then. He comes back. He has a chip on his shoulder. Let me tell y'all, edge is not even the word for what he plays, how he plays. He was everywhere. The first pass out of the backfield, he was there, laid out the receiver. He made pass defense. He had a couple pass defenses. He had a couple passes defended. And then he also broke up a pass where Jackson Meeks, rookie from the Lions, who had a really good game, heard footsteps. Quite frankly, he got scared. He dropped the ball before he got hit, and then he got hit. And then there's also DeMarco Hellums letting the Lions know that y'all talking all that trash on the sideline. I'm out here laying y'all folks out. And I'll keep it at that. But he played really, really well. Second thing I noticed about the defense, almost immediate. The defense is attacking, y'all. Brandon Dorless, just his stance alone shows the difference between the difference in mindset. Our defensive linemen looked like they were, pause if necessary, catching last year. It wasn't an attacking stance. It was more of a like trying to read and figure it all out stance versus this defense that I saw in the defensive line between Dorless, literally everybody that played, Rook Oro, Dorless. I don't think David Onyemata played, but Zach Harrison play? No, yeah, Zach Harrison. All of our defensive linemen, Zach Harrison, Morgan Fox, Kentavious Street played okay. Brandon Dorless, TQ Graham, Khalid Kareem. All of our front 7 played lights out, attacking. Ruko Oro and Brandon Dorless look like they're going to be a interesting pairing for offensive linemen for the opponent because they're so quick. Brandon Dorless he showed a swim move, a rip move, and almost forced a fumble, which then led to a fumble in the first half. So our D line, first thing I noticed is that they're attacking. Our edge rushers were playing well too. So we caused the turnover in the first quarter, a turnover in the second quarter, which was fantastic. Then we kind of got stagnant on offense. And this is where it really started to show their ugly head in terms of us running the ball with our second string offensive line. Our first string offensive line is probably top 10 in the league with Jake Matthews, Bergeron, Lindstrom, McGarry. The only unknown that you have is Newsel, who actually played 4 or 5 games last year. So they're pretty much intact, similar to the entire offense. Have a lot of continuity there. Behind us, though, you have Storm Norton, Elijah Wilkinson, Javon Gwynn, Kyle Hinton, and Brandon Parker. And just to let you know, I believe, and they also played Josh Gray, Jake Hansen, who is our rookie, Jack Nelson as well, who is our rookie, and Tyrone Wheatley Jr. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe they cut somebody not too long after this. I think it was Gray. It was either Joshua Gray or Gwynn because he was picked up on waivers. But I say all that to say about the offensive line. They looked atrocious run blocking. It really reared its ugly head in the second quarter because we couldn't really move the ball. We scored at the very beginning of the second quarter with the field goal. And then after that, we really didn't do anything. The Detroit defense was playing in our backfield. They were resetting the line of scrimmage 2 yards back. I think for the game, we rushed 11 rushes for 22 yards. We could do nothing. But our pass game, whew, it was looking good. Easton was on fire. But the defense looked good in the second quarter against a younger quarterback in Hendon Hooker. Third quarter, end of the second quarter, our offense scored a touchdown. Beautiful pass from Easton stick to Chris Blair. Chris Blair showed up that final drive. I think he had 2 catches. The touchdown catch and then also a big second down catch, which was like 20 or 30 yards. Definitely showed off his ability to make the contested catch, which is what they really, really like about Chris Blair. And I believe, honestly, between Casey Washington, Chris Blair, and Nick Nash, they were hoping that those 3 were going to be the guys to kind of fight it out for the last 2 spots. And then Dylan Drummond enters the picture. They just couldn't guard him the whole time. Same for defense. Our defense looked good. Our defense looked great, actually, from the front 7 perspective. Our edges were getting pressure. Our defensive line was getting pressure, and we actually played decent against the run. But once a competent quarterback got in, when I say competence, I don't mean Hendon Hooker can't play. I'm just saying that Kyle Allen has experience and knows how to run that offense and run the show and be a backup quarterback. He came in and torched our secondary. Our secondary didn't look great at all. It was just nothing to write home about. It was either you were mid or bad. And when I say mid or bad, aside from DeMarco Hellums, Xavier Watts played, for example. He didn't do anything bad. He didn't do anything good either. He was just kind of out there, which is, I guess, really good if you're a rookie because you really just don't. It's almost like being an offensive lineman. As long as you don't get your name called, that's the good thing. Again, Clark Phillips didn't play. This fight to play along Jesse Bates. I'm gonna tell you right now, I love Xavier Watts. I think Jordan Fuller is a good guy. DeMarco Hellums won the day for me. Right now, he is probably your safety 2 or starting strong safety. Now we did sign Ronnie Harrison Jr., which is an interesting pickup as another safety. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 that I saw. Henry Black and Josh Thompson. We'll get into the depth chart for that later on, but for me, it's really only 4 players fighting for that last spot. Billy Bowman and D Ford are nickelback. Billy Bowman flashed a lot of speed and his tackling ability. D Alford got burned for a touchdown. Again. Now, I like D Alford. I really want him to do well, but he was the most targeted DB on the Falcons last year for a reason. It's because he gets caught up in the wash as a slot. So that he basically got scored on where they ran a wheel route from the slot, and he got caught up in like a natural pick, and the guy was wide open, and it was like 4th and 4 at the end of the first half. It's just bad all around. Bad situation, bad time to get beat, bad time to not read, bad time. We have a tendency to collapse at times at the end of the half, and this just added to it. So I believe now the thing is Mike Ford Jr. didn't really do much either. But I believe Billy Bowman won just because D. Alford didn't really do much. He got beat. And then in the third quarter, we had halftime. So halftime, I think it's 10-7 or 10-10. It's 10-10 halftime, if I'm not mistaken. Let's look. I'm sorry, it's 10-7 us. 10-7 at halftime. They bring in Kyle Allen. He's the one that scores. Kyle Allen leads 2 scoring drives in the third quarter. Secondary looked rough. The D-line wasn't getting as much penetration in the third and fourth quarters. And I believe that's when we were really playing like D'Angelo Malone, who came from middle linebacker to edge. I believe we played TQ Graham. We didn't play him a lot. LaCale London, Simeon Barrow, Kentavious Street. We played a lot of those guys who are fighting for those final roster spots. So we didn't play a lot of guys that I think were going to make the team in the third and fourth quarter. Well, really third quarter, because the fourth quarter, what happened, Buddy got injured, and they decided to stop the game. So overall, Emory Jones in the third quarter, second half, played really well. 4 or 5. He and Nick Nash have a connection. Nick Nash is everything we thought he was going to be. Good route runner, solid hands, can get open at the top of the route, knows how to use body positioning to block out DBs that are smaller than him. He definitely, he's in the mold of Drake London, to be honest. He looks like Drake London. That's what he looked like out there. Maybe not as aggressive yet, but for the most part, that's how he looked. So, at that point, and then the defense, Kobe Bryant. It wasn't Kobe Bryant, but Lamar Jackson got beat for a 68-yard pass. Kobe Bryant, one of the most highly anticipated undrafted free agents of all time, up and down. I think he had allowed 3 catches, but also had 3 passes defensed. Lamar Jackson, it might be tight, bro. Got beat for a 68-yard pass, and then also had a unnecessary roughness penalty or something like that, which gave them a first down, which then led to points. I like Lamar Jackson, 6'2", 215-pound DB, but he's just by messing up allows for somebody like Kobe Bryant to jump you on the depth chart. Right? At this point, you're with such a deep team, everybody's close. The first and second string, there's not that much of a fall off. The second and third string, the third and fourth string, there's not that much of a fall off. So you're really fighting that person in your tier to make the team. Overall, the defense, first and second string defensive line, did what I wanted them to do. They looked dangerous. We'll talk about each position here in a second, but from an overall assessment of the passing game, we look strong. On offense, from an overall assessment of the offense, we look strong in the passing game. Run game is concerning. So at this point, let's go. Oh, also shout out to Arnold Ebiketti and the edge rushers. They look good. Let's go offense and defense. Let's do overall assessment of the offense and defense by position, and we'll talk about players that stood out And then we'll also kind of talk about players that hurt themselves, that help themselves or hurt themselves. So on offense, Easton Stick played lights out. Easton Stick played well enough for me to be okay with us trading Kirk Cousins. I know we wanted to trade him anyway, but here's the thing. It's not about wanting to trade him or not. It's if you do trade him and something happens to Penix, is that the end of our season forever? Or can we hold it in the road for 2 or 3 games and or 4 or 5 games, depend, with attrition, you never know what could happen, and then be able and still not, go 0-5 or 0-2. Can we have somebody hold it in the road and help develop Michael Penix Jr.? I believe, prisoner of the moment, I believe, seeing what I saw from Easton Stick, I think that he could be our QB2. Also, from what I saw from Emory Jones, he could be our QB3. So if you decide to carry 3 QBs or 2, that could happen. If we carry 3 QBs on the active roster, then Emory Jones probably becomes our practice squad player. If we carry 2, then of course Easton Stick becomes the practice squad player unless he gets snatched up to be somebody's backup. I hope that we carry 3 to keep Easton, and in case that we trade Kirk Cousins, right? So great first half, got off to a hot start. The quarterbacks look good. They're processing defense as well. Emory Jones just wasn't forcing it. He just was getting to where he needed to go. Like I told you, him and Nick Nash played well. So overall, I'm very pleased with the quarterbacks. I'll probably get a quarterbacks a good A. No turnovers. Did have a couple sacks, but I wouldn't even put that on them. I put that on the O-line, and we'll get to them as well. So quarterbacks, I'll probably give an A for this performance. Running backs, D. Really, I want to say C, but D. The running backs didn't look great at all. We had 11 rushes for 22 yards. Nathan Carter, who did look good from an attribute standpoint, he's fast. Nathan Carter looks fast. Like his acceleration, his 0 to 60 is crazy. Emory Jones looked okay, 2 for 9. Josh Corbin didn't get a lot. Elijah Dotson was just sent out to slaughter, 5 rushes for 0 yards. Our offensive line looked iffy at best. Our pass blocking was bad. We allowed 2 sacks. I'm not going to say it's bad. That's a lie. Our pass blocking was okay. We allowed 2 sacks, but all in all, our pass blocking was okay. Our run blocking did not exist at all. No drives, we allowed constant penetration. We had no drive or firing off the line on the run game, and we had a penalty. Matter of fact, on one of our offensive linemen, I believe we had a penalty on. Let me look at the depth chart real quick. I believe we had a penalty on Jack Nelson. Now, it was a bad penalty, and I won't go into it, but it is what it is. Holding penalties are going to happen. But for a team that is struggling to run the ball, and our longest run is 9 or 10 yards, and we get a 9 or 10 yard run, and you get a holding penalty, it was just a bad timing. But all in all, I'll give the offensive line a D. I'll give the running backs a C, because the running backs would have a higher grade if the offensive line played better. Right? So, it is what it is. Hopefully, the first string offensive line's pass blocking can hold up and be as good as our run blocking, which is what they're known for. We did quarterbacks. We talked about running backs. We talked about O-line. The best position group of the day for me was the wide receivers. David Sills, great route runner. Got open, got behind the defender on 4th down where we went for it, but he was overthrown by Easton. Dylan Drummond, 8 catches in the first half on 8 targets for 63 yards. Was so good they didn't even play him in the second half. He has been making a lot of buzz in camp anyway. They keep talking about him. They kept talking about him when they were trying to feature other wide receivers. They were like, hey, y'all need to keep an eye on Dylan Drummond. He showed out. 8 catches is beyond trust. And he was open. And he's getting pie people. So Dylan Drummond has lived to at least see another week or two. You might want to keep your eye on that battle. Chris Blair. You know what I noticed about everything that happened in the game? When you follow a team, everything that I've read about from the insiders and from all of our posts, shout out to Falcons Formula for all of our for the graphics that we use. They do a lot of good posting, got a lot of good information on training camp, a lot of good breakdown film and everything. So shout out to Falcons Formula. Everything that the insiders are saying is true. They said Casey Washington was doing well, and he's probably going to end up replacing Mooney if Mooney can't go. They said David Sills was playing well. You should keep an eye on him. They said Dylan Drummond is opening a lot of eyes. You should keep an eye on him. Everybody that we talked about played well in the wide receiver room. They said Chris Blair makes a lot of contested catches. First catch that I saw, contested catch. He's the reason that we got a touchdown, to be honest. He burnt the DB on a big play for a touchdown. And the play before that, to even get in position, he made a not a back shoulder, but just a pass. He caught the ball over the DB. Nick Nash, Emory Jones had it cooking in the third quarter. Nick Nash had 3 catches in a row. That fight for the last 2 receiver spots, I wouldn't be surprised if you bring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you have 7 wide receivers. I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. Drake London, Mooney, and Ray are our starters. Kadero Hodge is our utility guy. Casey Washington is going to be the backup to London, is what it looks like. That's 5 right there. And somehow you got to have Jamal Agnew on the team. He's really your kickoff and punt return specialist, so I'm not going to count him. So at that point, you have 5. So if you go with 6, you can go with DJ Chark, David Sills, Dylan Drummond, Nick Nash, Chris Blair. I didn't see a lot of Jesse Matthews. He's probably the first to get cut. But at this point, you would assume DJ Chark, who they just signed in the money, if you follow the money. Now, I don't know how much of his deal is guaranteed, but you got to say he's close to that 6th spot. I don't know if you put Sills, Drummond, Chris Blair, and Nick Nash on the practice squad, you're going to lose 2 of them. They're going to get claimed because everybody saw Dylan Drummond get open, and everybody saw what Chris Blair can do. And the hype for Nick Nash is always there. So the wide receivers played really, really well. Probably my position of the day. They're the ones on offense that really set the tone. Shout out to Easton Stick as well, playing really well. All right. Let's go to the defense. There is a clear difference between Jimmy Lake and Jeff Olbert. We are attacking. It's almost like hit everybody and then figure it out later. Like, what is it? Shout out to the Clips. Let guys sort them out. Like, we are just trying to get behind the line of scrimmage. Our defensive line is just trying to penetrate. If we can get to the backfield, everything else that you have planned after that outside of a screen means nothing. If we can get penetration from the D line, I will say what I noticed about our defense is the scheme is going to force a lot of responsibility on the linebackers, on the middle linebackers, because the edge, because of the way they rush with Jalen Walker, Leonard Floyd, James Pierce Jr., and Arnold Ebiketti to some extent, are going to funnel all the running backs and wide receivers or any type of players coming between the tackles straight to the linebackers. We are trying to set the edge and force everybody to go in to our two middle linebackers, which is Devon Diablo and Caden Ellis, JD Bertrand, maybe Troy Anderson, or who was our edge player that I just thought of? I can't think of his name right now. Right defensive edge. He's a linebacker. Come on, help me out. D'Angelo Malone. Lord Jesus, D'Angelo Malone. So our linebackers are going to have to make a lot of tackles and have a lot of responsibility in this defense. But if they can, y'all better look out. Our D-line, well, first, let's talk about linebackers since we talked about it. D'Angelo Malone is definitely worth mentioning. Here's why. He's versatile. So he plays special teams. He also moved to inside linebacker and started the game at inside linebacker and held his own. He then, in the second half, moved to edge rusher. It wasn't bad. He got back there. It's just, Kyle Allen knows how to maneuver the pocket. But he did what he was supposed to do. He got to the backfield and got Kyle Allen to shuffle up in the pocket. So D'Angelo Malone, to me, earned another week. I profiled him, or I said, he's a player to watch out for going into the game, and he didn't disappoint to me. I didn't see a lot of missed tackles from him. I really didn't see him out of position a lot. I may have to go back and look at it again just to make sure, but I didn't really see him out of position. And again, we drafted him 2 years ago. So, I mean, he's been here and he understands what he's going to have to do. So, I think he had 5 total tackles, 3 solo. So, he didn't play bad. Josh Woods, linebacker of the day. 7 tackles, 6 solo, 1 tackle for loss, and a forced fumble. Josh Woods against the run and in the box is a step up of Nate Landman. Nate Landman was more in the box, but he was bigger and bulkier. Josh Woods he can get everywhere. He was everywhere. He may have gotten outmaneuvered by a quicker back or quicker wide receiver, but he was always in the vicinity. I will say our linebackers got exposed in the passing game. Again, this is third string, so take with it what you will. But the scheme that we have that we're running, and what I noticed with Ulbrich, it's a lot of zone, and you got to be able to be efficient and understand. You have to be efficient about getting to your zone, but you also have to be able to maneuver your zone. So you can't just stand in the middle of the zone, because then that's going to allow the offense to come stand next and split the zone, basically find the hole in the zone is what they call it. So our linebackers probably need to do better in pass coverage, but in terms of athleticism and just creating chaos, they were everywhere. And I wouldn't be surprised if you put Jalen Walker there eventually, because I will tell you, he is fast boy. But we have an athletic defense, and it shows off in the linebackers. And when I say linebackers, I mean inside linebackers. We'll get to the edge rushers soon. D-line, attacking. I said it at the very beginning in the intro. The D-line was attacking. Brandon Dorlus looks rejuvenated. Looks like, how can I say that? When like a young child finally figures something out, so they do it over and over and over again, and they become really, really good at that because they couldn't figure it out before, and they did figure it out by themselves. Brandon Dorlus looks like that young kid. He looked so frustrated last year and everything that I heard from with the Jimmy Lake defense, and now that they're just telling him to penetrate, that's all he wants to do. Very athletic. Same with Rook Oro. Now, Rook flashed last year in the Jimmy Lake defense, but Rook this year, if he can just stay on his feet, he looks good, man. He looks really, really, really good. Matter of fact, our whole defensive line looked good. Taquan Graham, coming back off the injury, looks in shape. All of our defensive linemen look tall with long arms and lean and in shape. That's how they all look. Morgan Fox, I see you more as a nose tackle. I know they had you a left defensive end. I see you more playing defensive tackle, nose tackle 0-1, maybe the 2 technique. I don't know if you have the athleticism to be a left side or right side defensive end, especially when you have Brandon Dorlus who can play right defensive end, left defensive end, and they put him at nose tackle at sometimes. I will say everybody made a play. I'm looking for what Anyamata can do against the run because it seems like he's going to be our only dedicated run stopper. He's not going to be there to get to the quarterback per se. We want him to, but in the 3-4, you always need somebody to like eat up blocks, and that's going to be him. I don't know, just because from what I saw with Kentavious Street and LaCale London, and LaCale London was somebody that I really, really liked. I really wanted them to use him on passing downs. I don't know if we have the body on our roster right now for a typical 3-4 nose tackle that stops the run. I don't know if we have that right now. The Lions were really getting the run game going in the second half. Again, that's the 4th string. I understand that. But at the same time, they weren't running the ball terribly in the first half. It's just our defensive ends were making plays and setting the edge, which is what they can do. But I believe we're a little vulnerable up the middle in the run game, in our run defense. So I'd look for that. Edge rushers wise, no complaint. I've never seen a rookie get double teamed in their first preseason game. I've seen it now with James Pierce Jr. James Pierce Jr. lives up to the hype. He is relentless. He is fast. He's kind of got to figure out, in the NFL, offensive tackles don't make as many mistakes where you can take advantage of it. I don't know if you'll have any offensive tackles make those mistakes, but I do know he'll probably have to figure out like a counter move. He's got a lot of speed rush, and he's got like a delayed stop or a dead leg start or something like that to get around you. But he's going to have to develop a counter. Same with the other rookie in Jalen Walker. So Jalen Walker is also going to have to figure out a speed move. He's good coming off the edge, and he's fast, and he's good at shedding the block. But at some point, you're going to have to use your speed and have a counter off your speed. So when you get the guy, the offensive tackle or the tight end or whoever, off their equilibrium, you can then counter and go in and make the play. If you want to know what I'm talking about, go watch Arnold Ebiketti yesterday against the Lions. Arnold Ebiketti used the speed rush very, very well. I believe he had 2 sacks or quarterback hurry and 1 sack. He used the speed rush very, very well. And then once he got the tackle to the top of the box, he spun off of him. And as the quarterback climbed the pocket, he made the play. Strip sack, forced fumble up as well. And also Doris had a forced fumble that I don't think was caught in the stats, but he definitely had a forced fumble on Kyle Allen. Just Kyle Allen recovered it. But Arnold Ebiketti is the lost person on this team. We forgot who he was. Or we never believed who he was, one or the other. I'm not going to say I believed him because he never really showed me anything. I've always viewed him as an undersized pass rusher, and I still do. I noticed that all of our pass rushers that we had, a lot of them in the 3-4 are undersized, where now, especially like Jalen Walker and Arnold Ebiketti, just don't have the height and the length. But they do have the speed and the counter. If Ebiketti can stay how he is and get to the backfield like he is there, he's scary. He's scary. I'm happy for him And it also makes us have another trade piece. So we have Kirk Cousins as a trade piece. I don't want to say Algier, but we have Algier as a trade piece. We have all these receivers. We now have really an abundance of edge linebackers. We have Leonard Floyd. I'm sorry. Yeah, we have Leonard Floyd. We have Arnold Ebiketti, James Pierce Jr., Jalen Walker, Khalid Kareem, and Braylon Trice, just to name a few. Plus D'Angelo Malone, who moonlights everywhere. And the thing is, Khalid Kareem, edge rusher, sack. Arnold Ebiketti, sack. Um, James Pierce Jr. didn't have a sack, but he had a whole lot of pressures. We played well from a defensive edge standpoint. I would love to see if there's scrimmage tape between James Pierce Jr. and the Lions. I don't know if we scrimmaged them or not, but I'll end it in my thought on the edge rushers like this. I've never seen a rookie get double teamed. I've never seen it. Just off top, chipped, double teamed, everything. I don't know if that tells me more of respect for him or lack of trust in your offensive lineman. But I will say our edge rushers are fast and athletic, which is what you like. That's what you like. Now let's get to the secondary. Cornerbacks. Lamar Jackson. Tough. It was a tough day for you. Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, I think you passed Lamar Jackson on the depth chart. Natron Brooks, you played well. Kind of, you really had to. As I look at it, I don't know if you really had a lot of players that would kind of spell you. I think Keith Taylor got in, Dante Manning, but for the most part, it was Natron Brooks. And he did give up a fourth down conversion in the first half on a slant on 4th and 3, but you can't really get mad at that. It is what it is. Other than that, Natron Brooks, he had a pass defense. He made a couple tackles. He was everywhere. He played special teams well. He continued the momentum that he built last year in this game. And if he's a fringe guy, because of his willingness to play special teams and execute on both special teams, and he should be able to gain the trust of the coaches if something were to happen, I can see him making the team. Natron Brooks had a really good game. Lamar Jackson did not. I told y'all that before. The rookies did play well. D. Alford. Okay, so I like D. Alford. You can't get burned by the 4th string wide receiver on a simple wheel route on 4th down in a preseason game. You just can't do that, right? You especially if you're fighting for a job. They literally drafted your replacement, and everybody said that's a great draft pick. He should start day one. Remember, you're still on team, and they signed you to kind of a prove it deal. So I hate that D. Alford gave up that touchdown on 4th and 3. Billy Bowman played well. I'm looking for him to make a couple more plays. Xavier Watts, mid. Not good, not bad. Good. Was in the right place at sometimes, was in the wrong place at sometimes. But he played everywhere, and he didn't look like he's hesitated. I expect for him to take a big leap into week 2. Again, DeMarco Hellums, player of the game. Player of the game. If I had album art, it would definitely be him giving the 2-finger salute to the Detroit Lions, sideline when they were talking trash. He's probably solidified himself as the third safety. So that was the secondary. Here's my thoughts on the secondary, y'all. Final thought. I know y'all said that we don't need another corner and that Mike Hughes is the guy. Cool. The way DeMarco Hellums played, I can see him being on the field as a third safety, in the box safety. just because he's so physical and he reacts so fast, or he did in the preseason anyway. I still want to kick the tires on Asante Samuel Jr. If we do make a trade somewhere, I would love for us to get a cornerback number 2. I think AJ Terrell and Mike Hughes are a decent duo, but I think that they could be better. Other safety, Jordan Fuller, he was okay. He was consistent. He was okay. Let's look. I don't even know if he had a bunch of tackles. Oh, he had 2 tackles, 1 solo. So yeah, I mean, he was okay, but that also tells you that our defensive line was playing well. None of our safeties were that great in coverage. I think Hellums got beat, or he would have gotten beat on that 68-yard pass to Jackson Meeks on Lamar Jackson. If you go back and look at that, the slot receiver was wide open too on Hellums. They both ran right by him on that zone. So we need to clean up the coverage. We did good against the run though. A lot of good. That everybody was coming downhill, and it was a lot of meet you at the quarterback or meet you at the ball type thing. Definitely a swarming defense. And shout out to Hellums on special teams. He made plays as well on special teams. Did really, really well. Real quick, special teams, Lenny Krieg hit the 57-yarder. That was great. Missed the field goal. I think it was 47 yards, which is par for the course for what they're talking about in training camp. He can hit the 60-yard field goals, but he loses concentration and misses the field goals that are easily makeable. If he can get consistent, Younghoe Koo's out of there. But Younghoe Koo is consistent in everything up to like 50 plus. And then that's where he's supposedly struggles the most, is when you get to 50, 54, 55, 56, 57. Maybe you keep 2 kickers. I can't imagine with all of the other depth that we have to make cuts that you keep 2 kickers. But I don't think, because Koo didn't play, I don't think that this is settled at all. I think Koo will probably have to kick in game 2. Some other things that came about this game. This is going to sound insensitive, and it's not meant to be. But I'm happy that the Falcons came away with no major injuries. I believe they put Graylin Arnold, a safety, on injured reserve. I don't know who he was. I can't remember when he played. So I believe that's where we signed Ronnie Harrison, because we lost him. But other than that, we didn't really lose anybody. Now, of course, that's not the same for the Lions. Maurice Norris was hit in the head, kneed in the head by a running back inadvertently. Was unconscious on the field, was seizing or convulsing on the field. They had to cut his pads open and give him oxygen and all of the things. But he ended up being taken to the hospital with a severe head injury. He ended up tweeting that he was fine. He is now back in Detroit with his people, with the team. So glad to hear that. And then, of course, after that, Raheem Morris had already made the decision that the teams didn't want to play. What I noticed is he made that decision before he even talked to Dan Campbell. He noticed it in both teams, in both players' eyes. And this is the advantage of having a player's coach, or somebody that's on the younger side, that has been in the trenches, a Dan Campbell type, a Raheem Morris type, a culture changer. Him understanding the gravity of the situation and knowing that this is the first preseason game for the Falcons, the second official preseason game for the Lions. We're not trying to force these guys to play after that. I know that we have to make cuts down to 53, and right now we got like 80 players. But at the same time, mental health comes first. And he is being touted as, he being Raheem Morris, is being touted as a class act. Dan Campbell had nothing but praise for him, which is fantastic. Made that call. And the fact that they weren't even going to consult New York, they were just going to hike the ball and let the time run down. They were going to hold the ball. They were going to hold the ball for 7 minutes and just hike the ball and stand there. And what happened was the refs ended up calling New York, and New York said, "Okay, we can stop the game." I'm happy that was the conclusion. It sucks for Emory Jones because he was cooking in Nick Nash. They were cooking 4 or 5, 3 of 3, 36 yards receiving. They were playing well. So overall for me, great start to the season for the defense and the passing game of the offense. Got to clean up the running game. I can't wait to see some of the ones get on the field next week. And also, joint practices with the Tennessee Titans start. We play Tennessee next week. So we play Tennessee coming up Friday. So we get joint practices during the week. I'm excited for that. So let's go to who helped and who hurt themselves on offense and defense. And then after that, that'll be it, y'all. Defense. Of course, DeMarco Hellums. He helped himself. He literally made every play on defense in the secondary. Literally every single one. I'm not gonna say Billy Bowman hurt himself. I think Billy Bowman helped himself because you saw the aggressiveness and he flashed on the screen. So I say you helped yourself if you just flashed the ability, right? You showed up. Josh Woods was everywhere, led the team in tackles, forced fumble. He literally was everywhere. Probably could clean up his coverage ability, but for a backup linebacker, if he could play special teams with the same intensity that he was playing middle linebacker, he's on the team. D'Angelo Malone, the versatility alone should allow him to stay on the team. I think that helped him out a lot, especially showing that he was competent enough to play middle linebacker and edge rusher and switch in the game. I think that was very impressive. Natrone Brooks flashed as well. And really the full front line and edge players, all of them flashed. All the edge players flashed and all the defensive line flashed. I love how Jeff Ulbrich, and I'll say Jeff Ulbrich helped himself just by the defense playing the way that they did. I think a lot of people now have optimism in Jeff Ulbrich. Who got hurt? You notice I didn't mention this person at all, but he actually was second on the team with tackles, but there were no solo. They were all assists. Is Nick Cubits. I think he's number 59. He was okay. He was kind of ineffective out there. Now, again, it's not fair because I only got a quarter. I didn't get third and fourth. I only got third. Right? So I get it. It's not fair. But from what I saw, you really didn't flash on the screen. Lamar Jackson, I said this before, penalty, 68-yard completion, rough outing. And you needed the fourth quarter to redeem yourself. Hopefully, you do better against Tennessee because those cuts are coming. Kentavious Street, backup nose tackle. He had one tackle, which is not what you need from a nose tackle. You want them there if they get penetration. But from what I saw, you had trouble stopping the run and freeing up the linebackers. And that's not what we need if you're going to be a defensive tackle, a nose tackle. So he hurt himself as well. Offense. Who helped themselves on offense? All the receivers. I don't know if anybody really hurt themselves on offense and from the skill positions. I don't think any of the running backs helped themselves, but I don't think they hurt themselves. I think all the receivers helped themselves. Dylan Drummond, Chris Blair, Easton Stick, Nick Nash. I think they all helped themselves. I think Emory Jones helped himself. I think Easton Stick helped themselves. I think those two should have jobs in the tuck, especially if Kirk Cousins get traded. I told y'all the receivers did well. We harped on them earlier. I didn't hear from the tight ends. Nothing. And I mean, when I say nothing, I didn't hear anything from the tight ends. I don't think a tight end caught a pass. I don't think a tight end was targeted. I didn't, we were talking about TQ. I didn't hear anything from TQ on offense. Offensive TQ. Defense TQ is Taquan Graham. Offensive TQ is Tegan Quintoriano. Didn't hear anything from him. Didn't hear anything from Felipe Franks. The tight ends were MIA. So I think both of them hurt themselves just because you didn't hear anything at all. I think we already traded Josh or cut Josh Gray or Javon Gwynn or one of those guys, but the whole second and third string offensive line hurt themselves. The run game was when I tell y'all, if y'all didn't see the game, I'm sure you did. Even if you saw it, you know that they were trash in the run game. And that's something that we cannot have. We have to be able to run the ball because we are a play action team. So we got to get the run game going. So on offense, like I said, the receivers and the quarterbacks help themselves. The offensive line and the tight ends hurt themselves on offense. And on defense, our safeties help themselves. Some of our depth pieces at linebacker and cornerback and nose tackles, they didn't help themselves at all. They are firmly on the bubble. Nick Cubit's bubble. Lamar Jackson, bubble's about to pop. Kentavia Street, bubble. So, I mean, this game is going to tell a lot coming up. But, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the reaction video for the Falcons and the Lions. I appreciate y'all tuning in with me. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. We have another video coming out. You know I'm going to talk about preseason game number 2. We play Tennessee, and we will also have joint practices. I will try to get on here during the week in the middle of the day and talk to you guys about it. It'll be kind of difficult because, of course, I have a day job. But if you want to hear me talk about more sports and more Falcons, Hawks, Braves, HBCU news, tune into the Splashcast. Make sure you donate, like, follow, subscribe. We're going to add this donation button here pretty soon. We have an initiative to where donations will go towards HBCU scholarships and foundations, as well as help build the podcast and invest in the podcast. All that information is coming soon. Again, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Like, follow, subscribe. Go like, follow, and subscribe. Dive Team Media. Go tune in. I got a whole mini series on YouTube that only has like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 views, 20 views, 30 views at the most. But it's a lot of good information. A lot of y'all are telling me that you like the content that I'm putting out and the content that Dive Team Media Network is putting out. Football season, as you know, is our season. College football is here. Homecoming season for HBCUs are here. We got a lot of stuff coming for you guys. Hope to hear from you soon. Again, like, follow, and subscribe. Dive Team Media Network and the Splashcast Lunch Pot and the Lunch Break Podcast. Peace.